When do you feel most like yourself?
I think I feel most like myself when I'm like looking in and trying to understand something, because then I'm sorting something out. And this doesn't have to be super abstract. For example, I helped my dad setting up windows in a house, and I just like having the manual in my hand and thinking through, well, what is the right way to do this? And because I see that a lot of other people there, they don't enjoy the trying to take in all the steps and information, but I like sitting with it, and then after knowing how to do it from beginning to end, saying, okay, now step number 1 is this, you do that, and you do that, and that whole thing feels very nice. I feel very in flow when stuff like this is happening. So I end up having a note-taking app and spending a lot of time in books and stuff like this, where and I tend to yeah, for example, right now I'm reading the Bible, and I tend to do that rather than cleaning the house. Like I feel like I haven't done the things I had to do that day if I haven't gotten some information in that I'm processing. So I think that's when I feel most like myself, when I'm trying to understand and sort stuff in my head.
What is your favorite and least favorite part about being your type?
I think the thing I like most about being my type is because I'm so interested in learning and sorting things. I feel like I'm always kind of approaching like perfection in a way, and I'm very focused on a lot of like down to earth stuff like diet and sleep, and I really enjoy feeling that okay, I can understand this subject, and if I do it correctly, then I end up having great rewards for my health, for my well-being. So this aspect I really like, because I can always kind of, also to like a very minute detail, see if other people are kind of screwing it up, and like what is the loss of that. I think the thing I very much dislike about being my type is kind of, you could say, the drawback of approaching everything in this way is that sometimes doing things in a simple, easy way actually gives you 80% or 90% or even 99% of the reward. And sometimes I can just sit in like this 300-page book about, if, for example, I want to do chickens on my homestead. And I can spend so much time looking at chicken breeds, chicken feed, how to build a house, what type of house should I build, because I don't want to build it too small or too large. It should preferably be the right size. And at some point it's like, okay, I've been thinking about this issue for half a year now, and I still don't have any chickens. It's like, when do I reach kind of the point where, okay, now you know what you need to know, you just do it. Because I see with other types, like my friend who like is renting a room from me currently, he was just saying, oh, Sveinur, I have a few days off next week, I'll start building a chicken house. And then he just goes for the first thing he sees and just makes it work like that. And then I'm just kind of thinking like, okay, wow, what good did it actually do for me to wait so long to really understand and really know what to do? I just end up losing out on the benefit of actually having stuff. So there is this give and take of the things where I go in depth and really study. I really kind of get the tip-top quality out of it. But other things where I could have approached in a very simple way, I just lose out by being so stuck in my ways about researching it.
What is something you wish more people knew about your personality type?
Well, one of the struggles I have as ISTJ is this, I don't know the exact word, but simply like hanging out, saying, hey, would you like to hang out tonight? Would you like, just kind of the spontaneous, fun approach to hanging out. Because I try to plan everything, I think of what is like the right way to go about stuff. It also rubs off when it's like I want to do an arrangement with a friend. And sometimes I just feel so relieved when my more spontaneous friends, they just invade my house and, oh, Sveinur, we're visiting you now. It's like, oh, thank you that you just did this, because I would not have like made contact for 3 days. But the fact that they just showed up and kind of pushed me into the situation where I'm now around people, that's like a huge relief for me. Right? I guess related to this is, how do I put this? I would say that I have a lot of emotion, but I don't necessarily share it outwardly. And I find it to be very easy to be around people who recognize this without it being so explicit, that if they kind of assume, oh, you said this and that made trying to feel this way, if they kind of just know that happened without necessarily me expressing it in a clear way, then I feel very understood. Because the act of sharing emotions is always kind of like under one layer of technicalities always. So someone who can just intuitively know, okay, he didn't say anything, but he probably felt like this. I usually feel relieved, because then I can just say yes, no, I don't have to explain anything. So that's something that would be nice if people kind of knew, if they could just ask sometimes, did you feel this way about this? Because then it's a yes-no answer rather than this technical maze that I always end up finding myself in.
What advice would you give to anyone else who is also your personality type?
The main thing I have gotten out of learning about types is that I am good at this sort of research stuff and knowing the details of stuff. And so even though it never really came up when I was trying to decide what career I should be, I just kind of realized, for example, I am good at bookkeeping. And it turns out that a lot of people don't really enjoy or want to be involved in bookkeeping. They find it very boring and very complex and tedious. But I don't really feel that way about it. To me, it just kind of is a subject that makes sense, and it feels nice to do it in a like pragmatic and efficient way. And then once I had that attitude about it, if it turns out that, okay, there's other people I can help with this. So it doesn't have to be specifically bookkeeping, but just kind of realizing and being happy about that, okay, I'm good at details, rules, complexities. Where do people need help with this? And then giving them that.
How would you describe your personality in 3 words?
I would say stoic, detailed, consistent.
What is your biggest pet peeve?
I mean, the thing that tends to bother me the most is this sounds kind of, but it's kind of the passage of time, because I feel like if I did not have any time constraints, my life would be great, because I could always just sit back, look more into this, look more into that. But I always realize when I'm kind of too deep into something that, okay, but stuff is moving around me. I kind of have to adhere to the fact that that's happening. And then I end up being like kind of stressed about how, like, I want to slow down to understand things more, but the more I slow down, the more kind of this time factor ends up screwing with me. And oftentimes when I'm like the most stressed is because I have been very carefully planning something, but then something unexpected happens that I have to allocate time to. And I just feel like this huge rise in stress because, I had already planned everything so tightly, and now I have to give something away in order to take care of this other thing. So that's usually the biggest pet peeve of mine, when things I can't predict happen and they cost me time. That's where I'm struggling the most.
In what ways are you a typical ISTJ?
Yeah, I think the main way I'm a typical ISTJ is in the way that I'm very stubborn about things I like and dislike. One example would be, I know that I like my clothes to be made of cotton or wool, so I want it to be, like, I will look at the tag and it has to say 100%. And then someone might buy me a nice set of pants, but it's only 97% cotton, and there's like this extra 3% that is stretch material. I'm just looking at the 3% like, do I really want to wear these pants now? And then And then I'm like, oh, I'm being hysterical. Like 3% is nothing. But then when I actually have it in my closet, I never choose to go pick the pants that are 3% stretch material. I always go for these denim jeans instead that are 100% cotton. So it's kind of having these very specific preferences, and then and often when it comes up, I just kind of just see people roll their eyes like, oh, they kind of they don't necessarily respect me on this point, but I just get so stubborn about it and realize I just kind of accept well that's how I am. I don't want to wear the pants you like because I want the pants I like, so let me just roll with that.
In what ways do you deviate from your stereotype?
I guess I am atypical in my well, it's two things that are kind of related, but I think I'm pretty. I just said I'm stubborn, but I think I'm pretty open-minded. Like I have never really been stuck in my ways with people, and even though I have strong opinions about stuff, I don't find myself being offended by someone I disagree with. And usually people get offended by me, but I don't really. They don't really get a rise out of me most of the time. So, and I guess the other aspect of this is, for example, the way I look. Most of the time when we see the stereotypical ISTJ image, it is of like an office clerk with a shirt and like nice trimmed hair. But I kind of went with this aesthetic, that I have a beard and long hair. So I don't think the first-hand impression one would get would be the ISTJ from just seeing this type of style. So there's that's the answer I would give there. That I'm a little bit more open-minded with certain things like this.
What is your villain origin story?
It would be something along the lines of me having established like a nice, comfortable life, such as having a house with a family and children, and kind of having a sense of, oh, this is just going to be how the rest of my life is. But then something comes in and wrecks that, and it leads to like a hatred that can never be let go of, because I lost the thing I had built and I can never build it again. It would be something along those lines. I actually had a similar. I did something like this in a D&D adventure once, and where the story I picked for myself was being ripped away from my family to be in the army, and then basically fighting to get back to them at any cost. Right? It felt very real to me, that type of role play.
What book or movie captures your personality?
It's hard to think of a book or series or film that individually captures it. I can give two alternatives. One would be a specific character from a series who's called he's called Kira Yoshikage. It's from the series JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. He is an ISTJ villain. I don't necessarily relate to him in the way that he's evil, but what I found so funny in the story about this character is that the whole story is him just trying to avoid the conflict with the heroes of the story, because he is like a serial killer, and they're trying to stop him from serial killing, but he just tries to hide and avoid from the conflict, because he has his routine of going to work and then kills women in the afternoon, and then has like a nice time doing that, and he just doesn't want to be disturbed. And there was something about him explaining his motives. I was like, wow, that makes total sense. If I was like an evil person, I would do exactly this. So that's the like character I have related to the most in a film. As in terms of what exact media, I would say that the video game Factorio best captures how the ISTJ mind works. Factorio is a game where you build factories, and you might need a machine that produces iron plates, and then you need iron ore for that. So whereas other types can kind of have like this grand vision of how to do things, Factorio is all about the individual components of this factory. So you just do kind of one thing at a time. But then when you zoom out at one point, suddenly you've built this total like massive construction of things that are all related and feeding each other. And And this is often how I think it mirrors real life for an ISTJ, because I'm often not thinking about how all the pieces play together, but I'm very in tune with all the little aspects. And this is why, when taking out of my usual habitat, it feels like there's so many things that need fixing all of a sudden, because I had so much stuff figured out and all played into each other, and I can't just be removed from that and have it again. So traveling or going to traveling home to my parents, it feels suddenly stressful because I lose so much of the setup I have. And the game Factorio very much mirrors this feeling.
What other profession would you like to try?
So, yeah, my current profession is very much sitting behind a desk. But if I had to try something very different, it would have been something related to physiotherapy and the body. Because I remember when I was a child, I thought it was very interesting just to look at the human musculature and skeleton in biology books. And I was fascinated by how many joints there are in the hand. But so if I were to have a totally different line of work, I would want to work with that, because I feel this whole thing of understanding the human body from head to toe, and if I press here, then it has this effect on this muscle. That feels nice to work with. And there's also something, being ISTJ is caring a lot about physical well-being, so it kind of making it external also, I want to make you feel good in your body. That's something that feels rewarding to give someone else. So I think physiotherapy would have been what if I didn't do what I was doing now, I would have done physiotherapy instead.
What other profession would you not like to try?
Well, it's to the great dismay of my parents, I didn't really want to be a teacher. Now, actually teaching I enjoy, in the sense that I like to talk about very complex things to like-minded people, and people who are, humble bragging here, as intelligent as myself. But the idea of walking into a classroom with 25 8-year-olds, and to me it sounds like true horror, because there's so many things I cannot control in this situation, because there's so many individual players who want to do their own thing. And at the same time, it also seems unengaging to me having to teach simple things, because I'm always feel like working at a very high complexity level, and having to communicate the things I think are interesting, but to an 8-year-old, I think I would just really find that uninteresting. So kind of the dual factor of chaos and things that are not mentally stimulating, that would be the worst for me.
If someone could see the world through your eyes for a day, what would surprise them the most?
I think this is maybe a little bit sad, but I think they would be surprised by how much stuff I can worry about. There is a sense with being me and the ISTJ type that it's very stoic and kind of be able to get through hard times. But there's also sense of impending doom in a way. You see, a lot of ISTJs, and myself included, we're very interested in history and kind of how things have happened before, and then we are on the lookout for are we heading into a crisis? And we kind of all come to the same conclusion that we're kind of heading for dark times. That's always the feeling kind of we conclude when we look at things that have happened historically, and that we're not really learning from past mistakes as a society. So I think that's the thing that would surprise someone the most if they were to see the world with my eyes, this sense of things are good now, but they are getting worse. Having that feeling, because I don't share this sentiment with most people, even though I feel it very strongly. They don't see it like I do when I talk about it.
If someone wrote your biography, what would the title be?
Yeah, it would be something along the lines of "Good things come to those who wait," or "We must weather the storm." Some variation of this theme of I know the turtle wins the race. So one of these titles that would go well for a biography, because I think it exemplifies the willingness to wait for good things. Also, it's not. I don't think ISTJs are so into the instant gratification. I need the reward now. It's pretty easy to think in terms of, oh, if I do this, I will have long-term health in 60 years from now. So yeah, the turtle wins the race. That would be the title of the biography.